What's good, y'all? It's me, Chris, back here with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing Insecure Season 4, Episode 7. But before we get into that, I just want to say that I do live tweet the show every single Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So whatever time that may be for you, if you like, you can go ahead and follow my Twitter. You can get my initial reactions before I record my video for YouTube the next day. You can also see me just having a good time kikiing with a bunch of my other Twitter mutuals discussing the show. Good time. So we start off the episode where we left off last week, and we see that Molly did see Issa approach the restaurant. I was shocked. I really didn't think that Molly had recognized Issa, and I still stand where I said last week. If I'm high, I'm hungry, and my best friend just bucked up at me at my event in a very inappropriate time and manner and fashion, I'm falling back. I'm not confronting Molly in any manner. There is no need for me to put myself back into that situation when someone has clearly done something wrong to me. That does not absolve Issa of all the things that she has participated in, being passive aggressive, not allowing Molly to grow with her relationship with Andrew, and also just lack of communication and emotional maturity. For sure, Issa is at fault for all of those things, but it's not a lack of emotional maturity to walk away from that situation and not put yourself into this arena where there's so much tension and there's so much clear divide going on. So I think Issa totally in the right. Molly doesn't think she did anything wrong, and that's fine. If Molly feels like that, she doesn't want to hold herself accountable, cool. That doesn't mean that she's in the right. It doesn't mean that just because Molly thinks that she didn't do anything wrong and that she refuses to hold herself accountable and that she refuses to do some type of reflection doesn't make her right. She's still wrong, clearly. Molly goes home. They're packing. Molly and Andrew are packing for their vacation in Mexico. Molly tells Andrew that she sees Issa. She said, "Man, Issa left up out of there like as if I was a new job." I was like, Molly, you so petty. She like, Issa's being messy and she started it. It's her fault. So I wasn't going to talk to her, and I'm like, okay, this is telling. This is very telling. So her and Andrew decide that, you know what, we're going to leave this drama here. We're not going to let Issa ruin my trip. She's not coming in this suitcase. My cute ass outfits are. So cool, great. They pack up. They're going on their first vacation. I thought it was really telling sign of their relationship. Like, that's a big deal to go on your first vacation with your partner. It's very you learn a lot when you live with someone and when you go on vacation with someone. You really get to see an aspect of them that you didn't before. It's very telling when you go on a vacation with somebody. So I thought that was like a very important step, and especially them going on vacation with Andrew's brother, like she's meeting part of the family. I thought that was like a big deal, and I thought it was cute. We see them boarding the plane. We get a great cameo by Kim Fields, legend, bow down. Somebody in my comments from last week was like, if you're a Gen X, you would know her from The Facts of Life. I think that's the TV show. She's been around in Hollywood forever. She's a child star actor. She's a legend. She just plays like a talkative passenger. She's not as integral to the plot as Kyla Pratt was last week, or as Wendy Raquel Robinson has been playing Issa's mother. But it was still nice just to pay homage to Kim Fields. I saw on Twitter that Issa said that Kim Fields directed the TV within a TV show last season. Kim Fields directed those episodes, the TV show within a TV show. So listen, give Issa her flowers, because she's really doing a good job bringing in these iconic, legendary actresses in our Black history, our Black culture. I love it so much. And they're actresses that are not highly acclaimed, right? It's not a Viola Davis. It's not a Octavia Spencer. It's not a Halle Berry. You know, these are actresses that were in our household. They're just as famous, in my opinion, but they were in our households. They were, we viewed them a bit differently, but they're still just as important and just integral to a part of like Black Hollywood. Shout out to Issa. Great. So they're in this in this airplane scene, after they have this word exchange with a talkative passenger, Molly and Andrew have a toast. Cheers to being going on vacation in economy plus. He has to really reiterate that he's in economy plus. Okay, and they cheers, and Andrew attempts to finger Molly. Not attempts, he succeeds at fingering Molly on the airplane. And I want to know, like, where's y'all craziest place that you've ever given someone a hand job? I ain't about to tell you. Maybe if there's enough comments below, I'll let y'all know. But I am curious to know, like, where's the craziest place you've ever given someone a hand job? We get a lot of sex in this episode. It's HBO, so of course that is the norm. They land safely. There's a quick exchange with the brother, and then they get settled into their hotel room. Andrew is like, what did you bring for this trip as far as like toys and where we're going to add to pleasure? Molly just pulls out some lube and lingerie. Andrew pulls out a bunch of sex toys. I'm not sure if those are for anal or vaginal play. I don't know. I'm not really into sex toys personally. That's just for me. I really get a lot of enjoyment from the person, and I really get a lot of enjoyment from me pleasing the person. If you're totally into sex toys, I get the advantage of it. Definitely can enhance sex and gives a different sense of pleasure that you just wouldn't get from a human touching you. I understand. Me personally, I'm just not into sex toys. So as they have this little funny exchange about their sexcapades, they decide to fuck on the balcony, and who wouldn't take advantage of fucking on a balcony in Mexico when you're at a resort? I would too, like easily would. So the next following day is just filled with a bunch of activities to do. The hike, they have the dinner, we get to see Kim Fields again. We're just learning a bit more of the dynamic that Andrew has with his brother and his sister-in-law. Then at the end of the day, they get to relax back in the hotel room, and Andrew gets a FaceTime from Nathan. Nathan has been trying to get a hold of Andrew the whole entire day, and they FaceTime each other. Nathan is stuck in the garage, and during this FaceTime conversation, you can hear Issa in the background. Andrew assists Nathan as needed, and then they hang up, and of course, here come Molly. Got something slick to say. Wow, Issa's really trying to get back with Nathan. Like, he showed her who he was, and it's like, Andrew gives a bit of more perspective. It gives a little more insight as to what Nathan has been going through, and letting Molly know, like, hey, like, he was dealing with some hardcore mental shit. And Molly's like, oh, does Issa know? And Andrew's like, I don't know, but like, I know about my friend, and I'm not about to let you slander him like that because you got some mess going on with Issa. And definitely Molly has like a moment of reflection in that, like you could tell it hits a nerve, a light bulb goes off in her head with that, of just her being so goddamn critical. Molly is so fucking critical and judgmental, honestly. Issa is too, but like Molly, for some reason, it feels amplified. Maybe because that's just like a constant with her. But I think that's really great. I saw some people made some really good points about how Issa probably would have known about Nathan's mental health problems if Molly didn't interfere with Nathan coming to talk to Issa that day on her birthday. I agree. But that wasn't my point, but I agree though. So we get to the epic pool scene. So Molly is in line to get a towel for her sister-in-law, one of the family members in the pool stands in line and gets a towel, and the resort employee says, hey, you need a key card. And she's like, what? The white people in front of me didn't have a key card. And she's like, I don't know what you're insinuating, but there's a policy, like we need the room keys. And are you serious? It's a towel. And I'm with Molly, like, I'm dressed in a bathing suit. I'm by myself. I'm asking for a towel. I didn't ask for your wallet. I didn't ask for a cocktail. I asked for a towel. Are you being reasonable, ma'am? Andrew Brothers comes up, flashes the card key, uses his privilege, of course, and she gets a towel. They walk back to the pool. They discuss how crazy that was. And here come Andrew Brother wanting to be devil's advocate. Here he want to come with the gaslighting. Oh, Molly, do you really think that was about race? And she's like, yes. Oh, well, everything doesn't have to be about race, and I don't, it's all how you react to it, and just the constant, like I said, gaslighting. And I think that this is good commentary that the privileges that Asian people have, the anti-Blackness that goes on in the Asian community, and the fact of how, there is privilege in not being Black, regardless of what other systems of oppression that you may be facing. There just is. And I think that this was good commentary. I know people have critiques of sometimes some of the conversations seem to be inserted in from Twitter. And I think Insecure in the past has done that, but I like what they've done thus far. I think that that's a real conversation. I don't think you always need to make like a full episode about one incident. I think a lot of times in our Black ass lives, sometimes they are just quick conversations. Sometimes they are just quick moments and we move along. Like, they're not conversations that we need to always dissect and analyze. Like, sometimes it is just like, you were being anti-Black, boom, I'm moving the fuck on. So I really like the commentary that they presented in this. Like I said, I can't stand a devil's advocate nigga. But I will say Molly's reaction, it's like, sis, you are on vacation with your partner's brother and his sister-in-law. You're new into this dynamics. You got to be mindful in which you react. This also goes back to that scene earlier in which Molly reacted to her assistant. You can tell she's frustrated. She's holding on to something, and it's affecting the way she reacts to people. Like, if I'm not saying Molly's wrong for reacting, I'm not saying Molly's wrong for feeling that way, but if the reaction in regards to how she's connected to these other people who surround her, it's like, that's your partner. This is someone who's important to you. This is your partner's brother. If that was really an issue, you would say, hey, you know what? I'm going to let your brother deal with that. Or I'm going to talk to my partner and let Andrew address it and let that be the issue. And because in reality, like, that's something you gotta deal with if you decide to be in a relationship, in an interrelational relationship. Not to say you have to deal with the racism, but it's to say that the things of cultural differences, system oppressions are gonna happen. Me personally, I know a lot of Black people bring this up when dating outside of their race, and it's not to defend racism. But I think it's funny that, like, we within ourselves, when we date other Black people, niggas still be transphobic, misogynistic, homophobic, colorist. Like, they still participate in all the systems that white supremacy that has provided for us. So I think it's important I wouldn't dismiss it in him being racist. Like, maybe they need to do some work within their dynamics and some understanding and some unlearning. But I don't know if it was the biz for Molly to react like that. And you can clearly see the presence of Issa throughout this episode. Just in the last week episode, Molly wasn't there, but you felt her presence. It's the same way in this episode. Like, Issa's presence is weighing on Molly's spirit, and she really is overreacting. That's what it is. Like, you can react, but Molly has been overreacting all throughout this episode. So it's very telling in how Molly is all throughout this episode. We get the next day, Molly and Andrew are in bed. There's no cuddles. Molly turns over. Next morning, she wakes up. Andrew's not in bed. You think maybe there's like some tension about to happen. No, he was just getting some cute fruit juices. And there was two things that she said in this conversation that I wanted to bring up. When Andrew brings her the juice, she didn't start off by saying, like, I'm sorry about last night. She just wanted to say, like, did I fuck things up? Like, it almost sounds like you knew that you fucked things up, but you still didn't want to hold yourself accountable and apologize. And then she says that, I don't want this to ruin the vacation. Why did you say you didn't want this to ruin, like, our relationship? Because this incident is bigger than, like, just this vacation. Like, we're partners. We're gonna go back home together and still continue to see each other. Like, it just seemed like she needed some type of win, because she was running from her problems. Molly was running from her problems. Her problems are still in LA. We think that she's, like, I'm bothered by this. No, those problems. She's just trying to suppress them. She's doing the exact opposite of what Issa was doing in last week's episode. At least Issa was she was being introspective and she was reflecting and giving it things thought. Molly's just like, skirt, I'm not dealing with none of this shit. And I thought that was interesting. I feel like Molly felt like she needed some type of validation in this through Andrew, even though there's some type of spark that realizes that her approach may have been wrong. And I thought that conversation was interesting. Molly decided, Andrew is kind of passive, and he's like, no, we're fine. You know, I talked to my brother. He's arrogant. He's an asshole. And that's fair. All those things should have been handled. But I definitely think that Molly's got to do better in the way she approaches things in her relationship with Andrew. That's her partner. That's somebody who she's going to be having a long-term... You'd imagine that she's going to be having longevity with this person. So she should be more mindful with that. And she does. She's clearly more mindful. We see her walking out on the beach, and she calls her therapist. Hey, Dr. Robin, is that her name? You know, I haven't seen you in a minute, and I'm having a hard time. What did she say? I'm having a hard time letting go of things. Now, we don't know. We don't know what the things is. We don't know if it's anger, frustration, Issa, just the way she reacts to things. We don't know. Don't think that when she said letting things go, that it's Issa. We don't know. We really don't know. But clearly, Molly goes to therapy when things are wrong. I think it's a bit much to say that everything is okay. And yes, you can go to therapy while you're still well, while you're just because therapy is a continuous process. It's a constant. It shouldn't be something that you need in your life when something is wrong. If anything, it's a check and balance system. It keeps you, like I said, keeps you checked and balanced, keeps you like on a good trajectory. It keeps you grounded when you go to therapy. And Molly is a bit opposite. She thinks that she only needs to go to therapy when something is wrong. Something is wrong, so she reaches out to her therapist, just as the way Issa recognized that something was wrong, and she reached out to her mother for comfort. Very much that. I like that. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the therapist. I was sad in season 2 when we didn't really get the therapist in a lot of scenes. I love seeing Black people in therapy. It's not discussed enough. We really have a hard time attaching ourselves to words with ideas of like anxiety and stress and depression. We hold on to a lot of the tropes of us needing to be like strong and resilient, and that's just not the case. We're all human. We all have emotions that are totally normal for all of us to experience and express. And I think it's great to have that depicted in a Black television show with Black characters. So Molly and Andrew are on their way home, and we see Molly runs into Lawrence at the airport, and you kind of forget that Molly and Lawrence haven't seen each other in months, because we as viewers are watching the show, so we're always going to see a bunch of variety of characters throughout, so it doesn't feel like that. But Molly and Lawrence haven't seen each other hella long, and Molly introduced Lawrence to Andrew. Like, they didn't even know each other. I was like, oh, they haven't. And Lawrence is like, oh, where you guys coming from? We're coming back from Mexico. Molly's like, yeah, where you coming from? And he's like, Frisco. Shout out to the Insecure writing team. They finally got somebody referring to San Francisco correctly. That is something us locals, natives, refer to San Francisco by, is Frisco. If y'all remember in my Black as Fuck review, I was upset because they were referring to San Francisco as San Fran, and that's just some like gentrified shit that we don't fuck with. And so shout out to the team. They finally got it correct. We do refer to San Francisco as Frisco. I wonder though, do LA natives refer to Frisco? Like, anybody from like LA or Southern California, do y'all refer to San Francisco as Frisco? Like, I would like to know. Thankfully, they got it right. Molly had the reference of the Full House reference. You gotta do Lawrence didn't catch it. I don't know how he didn't catch that. He's from California. If his character's from California. Even I caught it, and I don't watch that White Ass show. I just couldn't relate, and I watch a lot of White Ass shows, but the counter show to that was Family Matters growing up, and so that fulfilled that like family sitcom in the early 90s. I just wasn't that into Full House. I watched a few episodes here and there. It's funny because a lot of people reference Full House when they come to my hometown, and I'm like, Can't relate. So we in the episode, Lawrence is exiting the airport and he calls somebody and he says that, hey, I've been thinking about you. Are you free? In the episode. Now, last week, somebody said in my comments below that I spoiled the Fields cameo. So I'm going to say spoiler warning before I say this next part. Spoiler warning. This is from the preview from next episode. I personally don't have a problem with watching previews, especially with this episode. This very mundane. It's not a whole lot going on, so I feel like they don't. And the preview is only like 8 seconds, so I don't feel like you can spoil a lot. But I understand if that's your judge and you don't watch previews, totally fair. So spoiler warning, we see that it is Issa next week episode. And I'm still not bought on this whole Issa Lawrence romance thing. I think it's heavily on Lawrence. Lawrence for sure is having some type of second thought and wants to revisit. He's been having this lingering thought of Issa all season. I don't see that from Issa at all, but I think that there's a lot of maturity that Issa has been in being able to still communicate and talk to her ex, and so she's down to it, and they end up meeting for something, and where Lawrence has to let Issa know some news. And a lot of people have been making their speculations about what it could be. Did he get Condola pregnant? Is he getting a job in Frisco? Is he going to confess his love to Issa again? We don't know. We'll just have to wait till next week's episode. So I am looking forward to next week's episode. I feel like a lot of times with this show specifically, there's like a slight lack of writing because there's almost too much conversation around these shows. There's like too much insertion, too much projection of our own experiences onto the show, because I think that there's a lot of holes lacking in the storytelling. I don't know. What do y'all think? I would love to know y'all opinions. That's all my thoughts that I have for today's video. If you liked it, please give this a thumbs up. Comment below your juicy comments. I love to hear about it. Please subscribe to the krisbeknowin family if you enjoyed my videos, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!